Hey there, welcome to this week's In the Shop with Scott. I get the yoke made and added to the mini canoe, as well as a couple coats of Total Boat Gleam varnish on the inside. Also, take that perfectly good cutting board from the previous video and cut it up and re-glue it. But there's a plan, so hope you enjoy this video. To finish up the trim work, I needed to fill in a few small gaps between the inner and outer gunnels. For this, I mixed up some clear CA glue with some sanding dust that I had saved from the full-size canoe build, and just mix this together to create a paste. I worked the paste into any of the gaps and then sprayed with the accelerator so it would dry quickly. I moved on to the yoke next, taking a piece of trim work I had and cut that to a rough length. I then marked the location and started working on the shape for this. It was convenient to look up so I could make sure I got the shape right. Using a rasp, I started working this down to the actual shape of the yoke. This was a little tough with such a small piece of wood to work on. And then I moved on to using a carving knife. I actually found that this worked much better than the rasp. As you can see here, it started taking shape rather quickly. I then cleaned up the curves and finally sanded it all out. Using a card scraper, I worked on smoothing out the paste I used to fill in the gaps, and then moved on to a sanding block. If you're looking for some cool outdoor-oriented clothing, check out my friends at Saw & Milco. I'll put a link down in the description to their website. With the trim work cleaned up, I then worked on permanently installing the yoke. Again, using CA glue just for the fast set time. With the inner hull and trim work wiped down, I started applying Total Boat's Gleam varnish. I love seeing the red cedar come to life, as well as the golden color on the ash trim work. With the varnish drying and the canoe moved out of the way, I moved on to taking the clamps off the board I glued up last week. I made a couple passes through the drum sander on each side to make sure it was nice and even. Jumping over to the table saw, using the crosscut sled, I squared up one end. I started cutting the strips to 1 1/8 inches in width. So creating end grain cutting board is always interesting because there is definitely more waste, but the end product looks so good. With all the pieces cut, it was back to gluing. Again, tight bond number 3. Then we could flip them over and work on getting everything aligned so that we have a nice pattern once the glue dries and we finish sanding. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you had any feedback on things you like, dislike, throw those down in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think.